In the ever-evolving landscape of video games, sequels often carry the weight of high expectations, especially when they're followed up by a cult classic like the original Dead Island. Dead Island 2, with its promise of a sun-soaked, zombie-infested California paradise, had all the ingredients to capture players' imaginations and deliver an unforgettable experience. Let's just say that it didn't really manage to do that. One of the most glaring and immediate issues that plague the game's experience is its technical ineptitude. From the moment the game boots up, players are greeted with a series of baffling performance issues that disrupt any semblance of immersion. Frame rate drops are commonplace and the game often stutters and stumbles, making it abundantly clear that the developers rushed the release without adequate optimization. Worse yet, a multitude of bugs ranging from comical physics glitches to game-breaking crashes permeate the experience, consistently reminding players that they're engaging with a product that is far from polished. However, even if one were to somehow navigate past the technical minefield, they would still find themselves entangled in a disjointed and lackluster narrative web. The characters who should be the heart of any story-driven game are forgettable and fail to establish any meaningful connections with the player. Unlike the original Dead Island, which made a genuine effort to imbue its characters with depth and emotional resonance, Dead Island 2 seems more interested in surface-level quirkiness and one-dimensional stereotypes. The result is a narrative that lacks cohesion and fails to evoke any sense of investment in the world or its inhabitants. To be fair, the game never took itself seriously, but past characters just felt more interesting and fun to play as. Luckily, the game wasn't turned into a woke fest, so always good there at least. At its core, Dead Island 2 should be a celebration of creative and satisfying zombie slaughter, but instead it delivers a slightly less exciting experience that I had hoped for. The ambitious crafting system, which was supposed to allow players to customize their weapons for maximum zombie carnage, falls flat due to its convoluted design and lack of meaningful impact on gameplay. The problem is that most mods hardly even feel worthwhile since they often bring downsides along with themselves. Here's an example. If you boost your weapon's speed, you lower its durability. While this is absolutely logical and realistic, we're here to play Dead Island 2 and not a simulator. Realism doesn't seem to be relevant anywhere else, so why here? Let me make some outrageous weapons, goddammit. Let me have fun with that stuff. On top of that, adding effects to weapons makes them dangerous for you as well as the zombies. Let's say you add a fire effect and the zombie which you just killed is now burning underneath your feet. Guess what? You're now set on fire and taking damage. That kind of stuff is kind of annoying to me. Lastly, let's talk about the game's skills, which are available as cards. In short, they suck. I swear 90% of these cards pretty much offer the same things and mostly suck. Normally the player is excited to see what new skill he or she has unlocked, but here every time I got one of these cards, I was sure it'd be a shitty one. There were a few rare occasions where I found one which seemed kind of interesting, and that was the peak of my excitement. I'm not even kidding you. This is as good as it gets. Next, I would like to talk about the open world environment. A concept that held so much promise from the franchise's evolution contributes to the player's overall disappointment in this installment of the game, because it doesn't really exist. While the idea of a zombie-infested California is undeniably intriguing, the execution just falls flat. The world lacks depth and interactivity required to keep the players engaged. The environments themselves feel uninspired, and the activities scattered throughout fail to provide meaningful rewards or incentive for exploration. Instead of an open map, here we have a segmented world split into smaller maps with loading screens in between. Unlike games like Dying Light, our characters are not versed in parkour, which means that they aren't even capable of traversing the maps at will. We have to walk through restricted sections that often resemble tubes, splitting and reconnecting at certain points. There are some doors which open from one side only, providing us with a small shortcut, but that's all. It's all very limited. When it comes to quests, we have three types of them: main, side, and lost and found quests. The main quests tell the boring story and were way too few for my taste. They were generally more cinematic but suffer from the same problem Dying Light 2 did for the most part. Namely, that the cast of non-playable characters with whom we're supposed to sympathize are almost all ranging between annoying and insufferable. I get it, it's Dead Island and therefore everything's exaggerated, but there is a difference between well-written annoying characters and whatever this is. And that difference is immediately felt as everyone here seems to be artificially designed to be obnoxious. It's like someone's pretending to be an idiot just so you can be frustrated with that person. Next, let's talk about side quests. The problem with having only a handful of maps is that there will be a lot of backtracking. The side quests will give you yet another reason to do so. Two of them were actually very entertaining. They tell smaller stories which are spread out between several quests and ended up being kind of good. As you explore those maps, you will find different locked containers which hold a reward but require special keys to open. These keys are held by named zombies which spawn at random. The problem with this is that if you want all keys, you are expected to replay the maps many times. There is absolutely no chance that all named zombies will spawn within just 2 to 3 replays. This is annoying and forces you to grind, which I don't appreciate. I did all main, side, and lost and found quests and still haven't found the last 30% of these named zombies. And you have to consider the fact that I am a completionist, so whenever I am on a map, I check it thoroughly, top to bottom. And speaking of lost and found quests, those started off as really annoying, minimal effort side activities while you run around the map looking for notes and try to figure out the next step based on the instructions you've just read in them. But luckily they get better and more fun as you progress through them. Though to be honest, this could be because you play more and you get used to the game's idiosyncrasies while also acquiring better weapons, which could add to the whole experience and the feeling of having fun. And since I've just mentioned getting better weapons, let's talk about them and the combat. Melee weapons, generally speaking, are divided in slow and quick ones. Personally, I find myself enjoying the quick weapons a lot more since they didn't feel as sluggish. These swords and all kinds of other melee attacking devices aren't that bad. It's the mods that are the problem. The better stuff only becomes available once you've progressed really far throughout the game and unlocked the stuff from the lost and found side quests. That's right, not the main quests, but these really obscure side quests. Yep, the least interesting quests end up being the most rewarding ones. If you are a normal player who just goes for the main and some side quests, that aspect of the game will mostly be denied to you. Besides the melee weapons, we also have firearms at our disposal, and they are very good and very overpowered. Much more so than in the past games, and I kinda love it. You will find ammo all over the place and be able to craft some, although I never bothered. The thing is, your own ability to hold a limited supply of it will force you to switch between the different firearms, but honestly that wasn't a bad thing at all since they all felt really good. I enjoyed shooting pretty much every single firearm. At the end of the day, guns make the game a lot easier, but they are a lot of fun to use, and it's up to the player to decide how and when to do that. The different zombies in the game are actually fun to fight as well, and they are interesting to look at. In addition to different types of zombies, we also have elemental variants, requiring you to switch weapons in order to do damage to them. This isn't a bad idea at all and actually adds some complexity to the fights, but can make the game seem stupid at times. For example, consider firefighter zombies. They are immune to fire damage. You'd think that your sword with a fire mod would do no fire damage, but still inflict some slashing and crushing one. But no, you have to switch to a different elemental to do damage. Otherwise you do absolutely nothing with that sword. The sword cannot cut the zombie all of a sudden, because it has a fire mod on it. Still, the added complexity is not the problem. I'm just addressing the funny aspects of it. I actually think that this system all in all is not bad at all. The one thing which really enhances the triumphant dance of destruction is the zombie damage and dismemberment system. While you don't have that much flexibility when it comes to where your weapons will strike the zombie, the damage from said attack will definitely impress you. Dead Island 2 has lots of gore. The models of the zombies change visibly to show where they have been hit, and the executions are absolutely fantastic. This is even more fun when playing with more people, especially if each of you uses different kinds of weapons, all of you hitting the same zombie and grinding it down to a mix of giblets and minced meat. For me, this is awesome. In conclusion, Dead Island 2 stands as a stark reminder that captivating concepts and flashy trailers are no guarantee of a satisfying gaming experience. Its technical issues, disjointed narrative, and underwhelming split and limited map design all converge to lessen your fun. The only thing that compensates for that is the fun from mowing down hordes of zombies in various ways, which is still very enjoyable despite the disappointing skills and weapon upgrades. It just saddens me that this game could have been so much better with some decent writing, a good skill and upgrade system, as well as bigger and more open maps. The promise of zombie-infested California was tantalizing, but the final product fails to realize its full potential. Dead Island 2 is a haunting echo of missed opportunities, a once promising series now left stumbling in the shadows of its own ambitions. As players yearn for the days when the franchise's potential was truly alive and kicking, it's hard to ignore the bitter taste left by this game. There's still a lot of potential here, make no mistake, and let's hope that the next chapter of the series will pick up the pieces and bring it back from the dead properly. Thank you for watching Game Filter. This is Nino signing out.